According to the most prominent intelligence agency in Ukraine, reports indicate that Russian forces are, at an ever-increasing rate, withdrawing from their positions in the midst of the conflict in Ukraine. According to the commanding general of the Ukrainian land forces on Monday, the advances made by the Ukrainian army in the vicinity of the eastern city demonstrate Ukraine's capacity to defeat Russian forces and mark the first triumph of the offensive. These gains also mark the beginning of the offensive. According to Ukraine, Russian troops are no longer able to carry out large-scale offensive operations. This claim comes after the Ukrainian military announced that it had successfully captured more than 10 positions held by the Russian military. The month of November saw Ukrainian forces oust Russian troops from Kherson, and in the days since then, they have made some of their most significant advances on the battlefield. The Ukrainian Air Force and sniper teams of the Special Services Forces launched 5 separate attacks against enemy soldiers, weapons, and other pieces of military equipment throughout the course of the night. According to Ukrainian President Zelensky, he is optimistic about the possibility that Western allies will supply Kyiv with additional fighter jets. The Ukrainian defenders were successful in destroying 3 unmanned aerial reconnaissance vehicles that belonged to the Russian military. Some Russian soldiers have been discovered right on the battlefield, and several intelligence agencies that are operating alongside the front lines are keeping a close eye on them at all times. According to the Ukrainian armed forces, there has been very little movement among the front lines in Ukraine over the past day, but there has been a significant increase in shelling. The Ukrainian General Staff stated in its daily report that there was serious fighting and that Russia had initiated unsuccessful offensive actions in several places to the west and southeast of the eastern city. These locations were located to the west and southwest of the city. However, the effects of the Ukrainian counteroffensive are already being felt, despite the fact that it has not yet begun. The events of the past few days have proved that Ukrainian forces are skilled at advancing and ruining the enemy despite the extremely difficult circumstances that they are currently facing. They already have a disadvantage in terms of the available resources when compared to their opponent. Despite the fact that Ukrainian soldiers are strengthening their defensive positions and location along their borders with Belarus and Russia, the situation in the northern command and control zone is steady and under control. This is the case despite the fact that the scenario is under control. Russia acknowledged that the conditions were challenging but maintained that it was maintaining its position in the eastern city. Ukraine has asserted that Russia is focusing all of its attention on trying to capture the eastern city from Ukraine. During the course of over 15 months of fighting against one of the largest armies in the world, the Ukrainian armed forces have distinguished themselves, particularly for their ability to adapt to changing circumstances. Ukraine has regularly reacted swiftly to shifting battlefield dynamics and used new technologies in order to capitalize on Russia's mistakes and gain an advantage in the conflict.